Hey review family, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morse, the review guy, reviewing music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one I'm going to be covering the new Liturgy record entitled Origin of the Alimonies. Simply put, the amount of polarization that this project has got, not only from the black metal scene, but the metal scene as a whole, the criticism that it has drawn, the label Transcendental black metal being shit-talked to the ground, and the sheer absurdism of things people have said about Hunter Hunt-Hendrix. All of these things, and many more, have contributed to Liturgy being one of the most looked at bands in modern metal, specifically black metal, for better or for worse. Hunter Hunt-Hendrix is off the deep end in terms of philosophical thought. What she does with her own ideas and how her brain is just constantly turning and turning and turning and turning, and she has all of these just forward-thinking ideas and philosophical ideas and talking about physics and talking about these ideals and ideologies and just pulling from so many different things. It's no surprise that Liturgy's sound is practically unlike anything else, which has been a major source of criticism for the project, is the label Transcendental black metal, the invention of what's known as the burst beat as opposed to the blast beat that is typically found in extreme varieties of metal, specifically if we're talking with this, black metal. Every single release from Liturgy has had no shortage of people staunchly advocating for Hunter Hunt-Hendrix as well as the sound, and also people that are saying some of the rudest things you will ever see to a lead vocalist. Liturgy's coming off the back of, I would say, their most critically acclaimed record up until this point, Hack, which was such a mind-boggling experience, one that I literally could not bring myself to cover because breaking it down I think was genuinely just too big for me at the time. That record could have been worthy of a 20, 30, 40-minute rant just by itself, and that's not even getting into the ideas of Hunter Hunt-Hendrix. 2020 has been a transformative year, not only for Liturgy but for the world as a whole, as well as Hunter Hunt-Hendrix coming out finally as transgender. So on this record, despite its short runtime being only at 7 tracks in 37 minutes, this is all about the culmination of every idea up until this point, and I would also say the transformative period and the change that has come not only in Hunter Hunt-Hendrix's life, but the world as a whole. And through filtering that rage and filtering that aggression and filtering that negativity, that confusion, that dazed sensation, it really is powerful on more tracks than not. However, I am very disappointed by how these tracks are constructed. For the most part, and I will just say for the most part, everything Liturgy's done up until this point is here in spades. You have the classical elements, you have the glitch elements, you have the noise elements, you have the black metal elements, you have the avant-garde elements, and everything in between. These tracks take so long to kickstart, it's insane. The first track only starts up for real around its end, and I understand the classical atmosphere and why Hunter Hunt-Hendrix has always had a fascination with bringing classical ideas into the fold. Here it just sounds sort of gentrified and it just sounds too saccharine and overly glitzy, and the second track serves as basically an interlude that leads into the other track after it that has more of the same. I'm unsure how to pronounce Simon. I'm just going to say Simon. The dual sister tracks, The Fall of Simon as well as Simon's Lament, are two tracks that I think perfectly encapsulate both the best parts and the worst parts of this album. It is experimental, it's odd, it's off-kilter, it's abrasive, it's harsh, it's brittle, it gets in your ears, it's ear-scraping, it tears your eyeballs out of their socket, it just wraps you in this hollow case that you just cannot get out of. You are struggling, you are shackled by the ankles and the wrists. I compare some of these sensations to, say, Lingua Ignota's record Caligula or Ubola's record The Origin of My Depression. There's this freakishly ominous sound to how the pianos come off. They are very cold and complement everything very well. But alternatively, specifically on like Simon's Lament, the pianos and the vocals near the first minute and a half just do not mix in a flattering way. And I am not saying that it is supposed to be flattering. Perhaps it's meant to be grotesque and it's meant to be just in your face all the time, but it just doesn't mix that well. And this isn't coming from a place of, oh, Jay Morris doesn't like avant-garde music, oh, Jay Morris doesn't like experimental music. I love avant-garde music and I love experimental music. Some of my favorite releases this year and last year and the year before that were records that were in the style of experimental and avant-garde. Whether you're talking electronic or metal, it's more so coming from a place of knowing that Liturgy is capable of blending these styles in a better way. I think this record, unfortunately, more than ever, just becomes too pretentious for its own good. And the label pretentious has been tossed around to describe Hunter Hunt-Hendrix for the longest time, and it makes me sad to really use that term to describe the music, but it just does seem very garish. It does seem very overwrought. It does really strike me sad, considering the very final track, The Armistice, as well as the track that comes before it, Apparition of the Eternal Church, are both very good tracks. Apparition of the Eternal Church reaches the 14-minute mark, has a great progression. It does run the risk at times of feeling really like Hunter is just treading water in terms of sort of regurgitating the same ideas over and over on the track without going very far in the way of progression. But in comparison, The Armistice is just really theatrical, very epic, keeps you on the edge of your seat, makes you sort of victorious but also hopeless at the same time. It is a musical contradiction that comes off very quick. Origin of the Alimonies is an odd record to examine in Liturgy's discography. So much has happened in Hunter's life and so much has happened in the world that you might get so much out of how aggressive the performances put forth here are and the take on black metal. And I'm not going to deny that this record and this band is not going to be for everyone. Hunter is a very left field, absurdist artist and a wide plethora of inventive ideas, but if you go into this with an open mind, chances are you're going to hear one of the oddest records of the year. Because it still is an anomaly, it is a phenomenon. Whether or not the ideas pan out or not, it's still one of those records that you cannot just sit back and put your hand on your chin and just really soak it in without anything else on, with no distractions, just focusing, hyper-focusing intensely on what you are hearing, because it is the super crushing weight of everything that Hunter can pack into a record that it really is impressive and commendable how so much can be packed into one person's mind that they can put forth an effort like this. Still though, unfortunately, the length, the execution, the compositions, the production, the odd mixture, the odd combinations of sounds that do not work nearly as well as past releases lead this to be, I would say, right up there with the artwork as Liturgy's worst record. I have nothing but respect for Hunter's transition and transformation and the band as a whole and what they have done, but it is clear to me that the contributions very much came from Hunter as opposed to the band. The band was just accompanying her. But I don't think I can really simultaneously praise or critique a record more than I have done in this review. I want to suggest this to anyone, like I said, that just wants to hear a really off the beaten path record. But in my eyes, I'm just not really getting as much out of this record as I have Liturgy's work in the past, specifically their last record, and I just hope in the future that whatever sounds they are toying around with here and on their past material, it can just be turned up a notch and put in a way that just pans out better as a whole and as a full unit, as opposed to a bunch of scatterbrained ideas that sort of feel like a dartboard that you're just endlessly throwing darts at and stacking just anywhere. I'm going to be giving this album a 6 out of 10. And that is a wrap. Have you heard this new Liturgy record, Origin of the Alimonies? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this record. I would love to discuss it with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is. My name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.